Hi there, I'm Caitlin, and today let's talk about web design tweaks that actually matter. I'm a strategic designer, which means I care about both how your website looks and how it works. I help business owners finally feel seen, supported, and legit online. And this talk is one I've been wanting to give for a while because I see the same patterns show up over and over again. Whether you're staring down the barrel of a DIY website that just feels blah, or you're on your third designer and still don't feel like your site reflects what you do, I want to help you get clear. Today, we're not going to talk about rebuilding your site from scratch or hiring a 10-person team. I want to walk you through a few small but powerful changes or tweaks that can truly shift the way your site feels and functions. These are the changes that actually move the needle. And I want to start here. If your website doesn't feel like you, if it feels like a placeholder or a patchwork or just something you slapped together to check the box off your task list, you're not alone. So many people feel this way. They feel like their website is either outdated, overly complicated, or just kind of invisible, like it's not really doing anything except sitting there. But your website should be working for you. You should feel proud to share it on social and in networking rooms. And it doesn't take a massive overhaul to get there. So let's talk about what actually matters. Let's start with the area called above the fold, which is a carryover term from the newspaper days. On your desktop or laptop, this is the area of the screen you see before you scroll your mouse. On your phone, it's the same idea, but before you swipe down, this is your most precious real estate that will cover a few of the tweaks we talk about today. Let's begin with your homepage headline. This is the very first thing people see, and it sets the tone for everything else. I call this the "Am I in the right place" moment. And if your headline is vague or generic, like "Welcome to my site" or "Helping you thrive," you're missing a huge opportunity. Your headline should be specific, clear, and confident. It should tell people what you do, who you do it for, and why it matters. So instead of "Helping you thrive," what about strategic brand and web design for business owners who want to feel confident online? Or "Helping overwhelmed service providers streamline their digital presence." See the difference? It's not about being clever. It's about being clear. Now let's talk about your call to action, the button, the link, the thing you want people to do. This is such a simple tweak, but it makes a big difference. So often I see CTAs that say, "Learn more" or "Let's chat." They're fine, but they're vague, and vague doesn't convert. If someone lands on your site and they're interested, you want to make it ridiculously easy for them to take the next step. You want them to feel like, yes, I know exactly what to do next. That might mean your button says, "Book a free discovery call," or "View my packages," or "Get the starter checklist." Whatever it is, be clear, specific, and action-oriented. And to add an aside, I always push for one call to action on the top of the page, if not throughout the whole homepage. Make it super clear what step is next in the process of working with you or buying from you. You can add other calls to action down the page or on subpages, but be super crystal clear at the top of the page. You can test this by asking yourself, if someone only read this one sentence, would they know what to do next? Now let's talk about the words on your site overall. The copy. This is one of the most overlooked areas of a website, but it's also one of the most impactful. Here's an exercise I recommend to everyone. Read your homepage copy out loud. Seriously, just read it out loud like you're having a conversation, and notice, do you stumble? Do you cringe? Do you hear yourself thinking, "Oof, I would never actually say that"? No, that's a red flag. Or honestly, just a useful signal. Your website copy should sound like you, not like a brochure, not like a corporate mission statement, not like a robot. It should sound like a human talking to another human. So if your homepage says something like, "At XYZ Solutions, we leverage innovative strategies to achieve scalable growth," you've already lost me. It sounds polished, sure, but it doesn't actually say anything. Instead, think about what your ideal client is struggling with and speak to that. Make your message clear, empathetic, and outcome focused. Let's say you run a family law firm. Instead of saying, "At ABC Legal, we provide expert legal representation for family matters," try something like, "We help overwhelmed parents navigate divorce with clarity, confidence, and a plan that protects their kids." That version makes it clear who you help, what you help them do, and why it matters. Your website copy should show your potential clients that you understand what they're facing and that you have a clear plan to help them move forward. When you write in plain language, your audience doesn't have to work to understand, they just get it, and that builds trust. Another thing to pay attention to above the fold is the menu. Your navigation bar, this might sound small, but it's not. I've worked with so many clients whose sites had like 7 or 8 menu items, and sometimes even drop downs with more stuff tucked away, and it's overwhelming. The truth is, people don't want to dig. They want to be guided. Simplifying your navigation is one of the easiest ways to improve your user experience. Ask yourself, what are the top 3 things I want someone to do on my site? Book a call, read more about me, buy something. Great. Those are your priorities. Everything else can move to the footer or a more page or just disappear altogether. Decision fatigue is real. A confused visitor won't become a buyer. One more thought I want to add a little more about your website copy. Your copy should also use your audience's language. Pay attention to how your clients describe their problems, their goals, their frustrations. Mirror that language. Don't try to sound smarter than your reader. Try to sound like your client, but with more clarity and direction. I often hear clients say things like, I don't know what to say on my website, and that's totally fair, but usually they do know what to say. They just haven't given themselves permission to say it in their own voice. Reread old client emails or conversations you've had with clients and pull phrases they said to you and repeat it back on your website. All right, let's talk design. This is the part everyone wants to focus on, the visuals. And yes, design matters, but not in the way people think. Good design builds trust. It tells people that you care, that you're legit, that this isn't your first rodeo, but good design doesn't mean flashy animations or 5 different fonts. In fact, the opposite is usually true. Consistency is your best friend. Stick to 2 or 3 fonts max. Use them intentionally. 1 for headlines, 1 for body text, maybe 1 for accents. Keep your colors consistent across the site. I usually suggest 3 main brand colors and then a dark and light background color. Use the same button style throughout. Repetition builds recognition, and recognition builds trust. One of the most impactful tweaks, white space. If your site feels cluttered, noisy, or overwhelming, it probably just needs some breathing room. Check your margins, your padding, your line spacing. Give things space to breathe. White space feels intentional. It feels confident. It says, I don't need to cram every pixel with something. I know what matters. Another one, imagery. Now, a lot of people stress about not having professional photos. And listen, I love a good brand photo shoot, but it's not required. What is required is that your visuals feel aligned with who you are and how you work. Even a handful of decent photos or stock images that don't scream stock, and this is a space where AI art is really changing the game, can make a huge difference. And if your site is still using filler photos of random people shaking hands, please consider an update. People want to feel connected. They want to know you're real, not perfect, just real. This next one might surprise you. Sometimes the tweak you need isn't on your website at all. It's the way you feel about your website. If you feel disconnected from it, if it feels like an old version of you or something you rushed through just to check the box, that energy comes through. You're less likely to share it, less likely to link to it, less likely to be proud of it. But when your site feels like an extension of you, your voice, your values, your vision, you show up differently. You link to it with confidence. You use it as a tool. You let it support you instead of avoiding it. And that's really the heart of all of this. That's why I care so much about the tweaks that actually matter. Because when you make even a handful of these changes, when your headline is clear, your call to action is obvious, your copy sounds like you, your design is consistent, your site feels good, everything else gets easier. You stop second guessing yourself every time you send a link. You start getting more aligned inquiries. You start feeling like, yes, this is me, this is what I do, and I'm proud to share it. So if you've been sitting on a site that doesn't feel right, or if you've been tempted to burn it all down and start over, pause, breathe, try a few of these tweaks, see how it feels. And if you want help, I'm here. This is what I do. I offer something called the Business Blueprint, which is a strategic deep dive where we map out your offers, your site, and your branding in a way that feels good and gets results. And then if you want to move into done for you support, I've got pathways for that too. But for now, just know your website doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to work for you. Actually, I can't help myself. Before I let you go, there are a few more tweaks I want to talk about, and because they're small, but they can make a big difference. So if you're still with me, let's keep going. Let's talk about mobile. We all know people are browsing on their phones, right? I don't even need to throw stats at you. Just think about how often you're on your phone versus your laptop. So if your website only looks good on desktop, that's a problem. I can't tell you how many websites I've opened on my phone and immediately closed because the text was microscopic. The menu took over the whole screen and wouldn't close, or buttons were so small I had to zoom in and aim like I was playing a video game. That's not the experience we want for our visitors. One of the easiest things you can do to make your site feel more professional is just to look at it on your phone and be honest. Is anything hard to read? Are there blocks of text or wide images that don't scale down nicely? Are there things on desktop that don't actually need to be on mobile? Here's a simple trick. In most website builders, you can hide certain elements on mobile, and sometimes that's the right move, like a giant row of logos or a full width background image with text over it that's hard to read once it shrinks down. If it's not helping the user take the next step, don't be afraid to hide it. You're not removing it completely. You're tailoring the experience to be simpler and more functional on a smaller screen. That's smart design. All right, now I want to zoom all the way out and talk about one of the most overlooked parts of a website, the footer. Seriously, the bottom of your site is prime real estate. People use it more than you think. If someone scrolls all the way down, they're looking for something, maybe your contact info, maybe your social links, maybe just a second chance to take action. So don't treat it like an afterthought. The footer is a great place to clean up your navigation. If you simplified your top menu like we talked about earlier, the footer is where you can still include things like terms and conditions, privacy policy, maybe your blog or podcast if you didn't want it front and center. You can also include a mini version of your about section or a secondary call to action like a newsletter sign up form. One of my favorite things to do is add a little branded tagline or value statement in the footer. Something simple like helping small businesses build big impact online. Just a reminder of who you are and who you serve. It helps close the loop for people and reinforces that brand trust. Speaking of trust, let's wrap up for real this time by talking about how to actually build it. Because let's be honest, the internet is a noisy place. Everyone says they're the best. Everyone says they care. But how do we actually show people they can trust us? One easy way is to include short, punchy testimonials that highlight specific results or experiences. I say short on purpose. Nobody wants to read an essay. Your testimonials shouldn't be a novel. They should be a spark. Instead of dropping in 3 chunky paragraphs, take your strongest testimonials and trim them down to 1 or 2 sentences. Bold the key phrases, maybe 3 to 5 words that you want people to notice. That's what they'll actually read. Something like, she made me feel seen and supported. I've never felt more confident about my business. Or the process was seamless and strategic. It was everything I didn't know I needed. You can also include little logos or photos of past clients if you have permission. Those little visual cues go a long way. People want to know you've done this before, that you've helped people like them, and that you're not just winging it. Other trust elements that help: a brief bio with a photo of you, not just a logo. Social proof like your number of clients served or years in business. Even things like SSL certificates, privacy language, or clear refund policies on your sales pages help people feel safer engaging with your brand. It's not about bragging. It's about helping someone new feel at ease. And really, that's what your website is. It's your digital home. You want people to feel welcomed, guided, and taken care of. So whether you tweak your headline, clean up your navigation, update your call to action, optimize your mobile view, refresh your footer, or add a couple of trust building testimonials, just know that it's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Small changes matter. You don't need a full rebrand or a new website to make progress. You need clarity, you need focus, and you need to remember that your site is working even when you're not. That's the magic of a well-designed strategic website. And if you're sitting here thinking, okay, but I don't even know where to start, that's exactly what I help people with. We don't need to burn it all down. We can just take a look together and figure out what actually matters. Thanks for being here with me today. I hope this gave you a few ideas, a little clarity, and maybe even a bit of permission to stop obsessing over things that don't move the needle and start focusing on the tweaks that do. If you're not sure where to start, grab my free website assessment. Stop guessing, start improving. It should be linked below. It's a simple expert crafted checklist to help you pinpoint exactly what your site needs. Thank you for your time.